Hey guys, Stan here from Bar Z. I went to an estate sale today, and I'm gonna rifle through this stuff as quickly as I can. Some of this stuff is up for sale or trade. Some of it I'm keeping. No big machinery things, but a few cool things that I found, and a lot of it's new old stock. These are file handles. These aren't the kind you see at Harbor Freight. These are made by Diston USA. They had an OSH price tag on them for 79 cents. So they are the Diston file handles. So handy. I got some from one of my woodchuck buddies. I got some Surforms. That is a Craftsman, and this is a Stanley Surform. And the guy kept a spare blade taped to the side. So that's for one of my woodchuck buddies. This is a Dunlap tack hammer, or I think it's an upholstery hammer. It's got the split in the end, but nice little hammer. That takes care of that box. This was interesting. This is a Xylus Swiss-made bench clamp set, and what's unique about this? It's got a lead screw on it, like an Acme screw, and that only brings one of the two vice jaws in together, and it'll just clamp to the side of your table. And the crank handle it doesn't come off. It's got a pin so it doesn't come off, and you can only crank this from one end. What if you want to put it at the other end of the table? Check these things out. Watch here. Clip there, clip it to the other side, clip here, clip it to the other side, and now it's reversible the other way. These soft jaws just come unsnapped, and there's standard jaws inside. So the Xylus Swiss-made vise, it's a very nice bench vise. It looks like a dog had got chewy with it there, but outside of that, this thing is in perfect shape. It's all investment casting aluminum, and that was a very nice piece. I was very happy to get that. So this I'm keeping, but yeah, very nicely made vise. Next up was a good old rigid pipe vise, and it's a homemade stand. Someone's got an attempt there at a homemade vice stand, tri-stand. It's not a folding type. You just thread 3 pieces of pipe into it and away you go. But handy enough. Good for job sites. Probably going to keep that, but good piece. I thought of Tom Lipton when I found this. This is interesting. It's got a shoulder strap. You see, what the heck is that thing? That's kind of odd looking. Well, it's a little, very lightweight shoulder strap dolly. You just snap these guys out like that, and now we can pull with our strap, or take the strap and put it over the top of something heavy, and it's got rubber pads so our stuff doesn't slip off, and we could roll something 75, 80 pounds maybe, roll it around the swap meet. So I thought of Tom Lipton when he said he was hauling big chunks of steel in his backpack out of his last flea market. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I just threw it in my box. And so now we've got this little folding dolly. And the guy that this stuff belonged to, he was actually a photographer, so he had a lot of studio type photography stuff, and a lot of road boxes and things like that, none of which I was really interested in, but that was in his camera kit, I guess, for rolling around some of his equipment. But I thought that was kind of neat, so I picked it up. Let's drag a box over. Take a look at this one. Stainless steel ruler, very flexible. Cork back, so when you're sliding across drawings and things, you're not going to smear your drawings. But Always nice to have another stainless steel rule that is Imperial and metric. So never can have too many of those. That went in the pile. Little grinder discs. Who doesn't need those? Went in my pile. This was a good little set, and which I didn't have. These were made by Sears and Roebuck, and these are numbers. I have letters, but I didn't have numbers of this size, so it doesn't look like they'd ever been used. So those went in my pile. Fluorescent drop light. Still wire tied together. It doesn't ever look like it's been used. It works perfectly. I plugged it in. Works just dandy. So always nice to have a little bit of light around the shop. Little air filter. New old stock. Milton, 1/4 inch in, 1/4 inch out. I think that's a real glass bowl. They do them out of polycarbonate these days. But yeah, I think I'm going to put that on probably the back of my plasma cutter to keep some of the water from getting into my plasma. This was a Vaughan. So it's fairly new, probably a Home Depot special, but Vaughan makes an okay ball peen hammer, and this is a good little size just for doing a little center punching and stuff, and you really can't have too many of these around the shop. So that was a good little hammer. Went in my pile. 8-inch Craftsman adjustable. And these are the older ones with a very thin head on them, and these are the ones I prefer. And these aren't terrible. You know, the jaws aren't all splayed out, and you know, when the newer models, when they get used a lot, the jaws will splay out like that, and they're just a horrible wrench. But this is the older Craftsman. You can look at the profile of it, very thin, and just a nice little wrench, especially if you're doing airline fittings and plumbing fittings, and you want the narrower head. A lot of times you have to tighten two together or something, and you want the slim head. So that went in the pile. Got an air die grinder, and for the disorganization that was at this estate sale, I was so surprised that I was able to find a lot of this stuff. The tools that go with it always get lost. This is an old Rodak, not even in business anymore. Plugged it in, works great. The angle wrench is just to hold the main spindle, and then you can come in here on the collet and get the rest of it. And there was another wrench with it, but good little air die grinder. Wasn't going to pass that up. Went in the pile. American-made tubing cutter, made by the Eastman, Imperial Eastman, Chicago, USA. It's got a deburring tool here in the back, and if you go like this and slide it out of the way, you got a spare cutter underneath the head there. So good little tubing cutter, good for copper pipe and small aluminum and copper tubing. So yeah, good little tubing cutter. Throw in the box. Never have too many of those either. Oh, let's see. Line levels, always handy. There's another line level there. It's an old Stanley's been taped back on, the old aluminum line levels. These are always handy when stretching a string. These are two different types. This one's going to, you know, for doing your pitch for drainage, and this one's dead level. And then this one, of course, is just dead level. So if you're laying out for a shop or some drain lines, or just want to stretch a string 100 feet and want to know if one side's high or low, just stretch it tight and drop a line level on there. But those are always handy. Clamps. This was the one and only American-made clamp I could find. He had a lot of Chinese stuff. This is a Brink and Cotton from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And I'll let you look at that top of it and how they're both slanted. See how this one's slanted down and that one's slanted down? So that's kind of an interesting shape on that one. And you know, the cheater handle's not all tweaked to hell. It's got a little tweak in it, but no one's really reefed on that too hard. And you can see the screw's pretty straight and runs pretty true. So it's not a terrible little clamp. So that's the only clamp I was able to get my hands on. US made. All this other stuff was Chinese junk of that style. I did get some pony clamps, which are the 3/4 bar clamps. This one was still in the box. No one even made a pipe for it yet. All the pieces were there here for this, the spring and the little flat bars and everything for that. So one brand new pony clamp. I got another one that he'd already put together, and these are handy because you can make your own clamp any size you want. And then I got two Jorgensens. These are just a bar clamp, and these use a flat knurled face for their locking action. Jorgensens are notorious for slipping, but so I got two Jorgensens of two different sizes, there and there, and then I got his one and only Bessie clamp, and there's the Bessie there, and this thing's essentially in brand new shape. It's still got the tag and the skew on it, so it's not that old. It's when they had the barcodes, so not that old. So those are the clamps for the day. Get these off to the side. Well, you got instructions. Wonder what happened if I filled out my warranty card and sent it in. Oh, that could be fun. But anyways, pony clamps are always good for doing doors or squaring something big, or you know, if you're making I use them on sheet metal frames or sheet metal doors or big roof jacks or roof curbs or whatever. Those are always good to have. All right, let's keep digging through here. Got a very small compass. Kind of neat. German-made Deitzken. Or maybe someone can correct me on the correct pronunciation of that. This is a nice little, it doesn't look like it's ever been used. And it's got scribe points on it right now. But this side is changeable. We can pull this out here. And it'll switch over to a kind of an unusual looking, almost looks like a pair of tweezers. So these will slip in there, and then you've got like a tweezer on one side, and I'm not sure what you would need that for. Why would you need a pair of tweezers on the side of a compass? Maybe someone can answer that for me. And one side I can put pencil leads in. I got pencil leads there. So I don't know whether this is necessarily for drafting or doing layout. Maybe it's just for drafting, and this has a particular use. Maybe you squeeze a little eraser in there and erase in a circle or something. I don't know. But if anyone knows, I'd be interested in knowing what that is. Anyways, I saw them, threw them in my box. Kind of neat. All right. Let's see what else we got. Hefty pair of shears, U.S. made by the Clean Cut Company in Detroit, and I can feel them. They just go all the way, the full length of them. But that's a pretty nice long cut. And you know, I cut a lot of filter material and rubber and a lot of large bulky materials So this would be good for cutting fiberglass, or anyways, it's a nice pair of shop scissors. Now here's something, and fairly common, Ford, the Ford insignia there on that wrench. Ford used to supply tools with their vehicles. I think all the way up to the 50s maybe. But I know some people collect the old Ford stamp tools, and I just thought it was a cool old wrench, so I grabbed it. But with the Ford logo on it. So, anyways, got a hold of that. Okay, and here's just some miscellaneous that I picked up, and some of them are nice old pieces, and some of them not so much, but kind of cool. These are the Electrician's Choice X-Lite drivers. They have another name that escapes me at the moment, X-Lite, and can't remember them, but they make excellent panel drivers, and that's all I'd carry when you're doing your electrical work. Anyways, they had 2 of those. That's all I could find, so I grabbed them. Out here I got that's a spring for an air chisel, and they had kind of a unique attachment here. This goes on an air chisel, and it's a seamer for sheet metal, so it'll put an offset in your sheet metal on like an auto body panel if you're doing a repair or something like that. But I think with the weight of that this outer part, that's going to make a pretty nice seam in your sheet metal. So that's I'll let you kind of look at that setup there for an air chisel. So that's interesting. And they had a hammer face for an air chisel. Nice. And just plain old generic air chisel chipping bit. So I grabbed that for the air chisel. It's kind of nice to have. Grease injector needle. That is just a hypodermic needle with a grease fitting at the bottom and a plastic protector cap. Always handy for greasing sealed bearings. I got a couple of those, but wouldn't hurt to have another one. Contour gauge, kind of interesting. Everyone knows what they are. I've never owned one, but I thought it might be fun to have that around the shop, so I picked it up. Went in my box. These are all Proto, which I'm kind of a Proto magnet, either Proto or Plum anyways. This is a Proto 5/16 drift punch. Nice size. The tip's a little bent, but outside of that, the rest of it's in pretty good shape. Stuff like this is for little fine work, lining holes. Proto 7/16 1/2-inch cut. Cold chisel. Actually doesn't even look like it's ever been used. Just old. Pin punch. Also Proto. Pin section is straight. Size. None seen. Center punch. Dull as a dog hind's leg, but we can resharpen that. Again, Proto. So all serviceable tools. I thought this was neat. I've never seen one before. This is just a little hand tubing bender, and now it's handy for copper tube, aluminum tube. It's made for 1/4 inch. Let you look at the saddle of it there. And it's got no moving parts, and you just throw it in your toolbox, and if you just got to do a quick 90-degree bend on a piece of 1/4 inch, just grab it and go. And we run a lot of airflow switch tubing and a lot of little tubing around on a job site, and that's all you want. Something you can stick in your bag, and you don't want some big complicated triple action thing that'll do 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8, and all the way up. You just want to do a little bit of 1/4 inch tubing. So I thought that was wonderful, and I'm gonna put that in my bag and start carrying that. All right, we've covered the screwdrivers. Genuine channel locks, no substitute. Everyone should keep those handy for everything. The blue handles have long since disappeared on these, but the one long and the one short for electrical work, that's what bangs out your knockouts, and that's what tightens your fittings. So these are garden variety electrician's tools right there for running your pipe. Small genuine crescent, X-Lite. If I peeled this protective cover off, that would say crescent. But probably one of the smallest crescent wrenches that they make. Klein. got side cutters, needle nose, serration's in pretty good shape. Pretty happy there with those. Flush cutting Kleins, spring return. Got a very odd looking top to them. I'm going to roll them around, let you look at that kind of strange angled flush cutting feature on there. But for getting straight down and cutting something off flush, that's a wonderful thing. So that's a nice little pair of Kleins, still very sharp. Doesn't look like they've ever been used. It's been banging around in someone's toolbox. Vintage Diamond Duluth, USA. These are very old. Serrations are worn out. I bought them just for, or I just stuck them in my box just for nostalgia's sake. But kind of a cool pair of pliers. Thought I'd grab them. Diamond Tool Company. Craftsman. I've got a pair of long needle nose here. These are the older Craftsmans, before they started making them in Asia. And nice fit and finish. Nice action on them. The polish is still decent. If I hold them up to the light, I got good closure on my tips. And that's just a nice little pair of needle nose there. And it's got the matching duck bills, and these are a smooth jaw. These have no serrations. But that is a flat duck bill type plier. And that is a nice pair of US made Craftsmans. And like I say, these have been hand fitted and polished and everything before they started really getting crummy. So pretty happy with those. Old crummy pair of hemostats, always handy for doing stuff. These are serrated. 3 locks. I need to peel off all the rubber coating on them and just make them bare again, but still a very serviceable tool. So that's all the pliers, punches, and screwdrivers that were in that kit. So those all went in Stan's pile. Now, I don't think this is going to be a mystery tool, because I recognized it. No one around me knew what it was. They weren't sure. They were saying, "Oh, it's a dentist tool. Oh, it's a chisel, or it's a scraper, or whatever." It's a leather working tool. And what you do is you look at that blade, and it's got a very, very slight pitch. And if you were working on a belt or a purse or a strap, and you put this on your index finger here, as so, and then use your thumb and middle finger like this to actually steer it. And if I was working on a belt and I wanted to carve in a leaf, I use this and I'd steer it, and I'd just lightly cut into the leather, and I'd make my cut like that. So that is what that is for. I just threw it in the box just because it's fun and I knew what it was. I did a lot of leather working when I was much younger, and I spent a lot of my money at the Tandy Leather Company, if anybody remembers that. Tandy Leather, I think they got absorbed by Radio Shack. But anyways, that is a leather grooving tool. Alright, and this guy must have had a motorhome, because I think he was trying to knock his lug nuts off of his coach. This is a Proto 1 5/16, 3/4 drive. That's all there was. And then he bought a 3/4 to half adapter that drops in, and then he had to use one of these rubber collars with the pin to get it to stay together, and that locks that to there. So there, just like that. So that's I don't know. I just picked them up because they said Proto, and I know they're good tools, and maybe I'll find a use for them someday. But I've got a 3/4 inch set already, and I'm sure I've already got a 1 5/16, but I got another one. Picked this up. Didn't really have any use for it. This is a Little Giant pump, and it's got a little bit of hose on it, and I plugged it in. It runs, and it's all tie wrapped together. But this is a magnetic base with a piece of lock line on it, and it's a cool little coolant pump setup. If someone needs some coolant on their bandsaw, you got a tray or something, this is the pump and the mag base and the valve and the lock line and everything you need to to do some coolant on a bandsaw or maybe on one of your other machines. I could not find the inlet screen, so an inlet screen needs to be fabricated. But this is for sale or trade. I have another interesting little vise I wanted to show you, and I'm hoping you're going to be in plane for this. This is a Wilton, and this is probably a homeowner's version. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to clamp it down to the corner of the table. All right, that base is clamped. Now, this is a Wilton, made in USA. I've never seen one like it. The base, you release there, and she swivels, as you would expect from any normal garden variety vise. All right, but here's what else it does. It's got this lock on the side over here. Look at that. It just turns sideways at the drop of a hat, which is really interesting. So let's bring that back down. So she swivels and articulates, capitulates. And it's got removable jaws that just, gosh, they're not very good. They're a serrated jaw. They just got a couple pins that just drop in there. Such your standard jaw, you know, garden variety. I think these would probably piss me off after a while, after they fall out a few times and I end up with a magnet or something in there. Anyway, so that's that. But they've also got serrated kind of pipe jaws in there, so you could, you know, hold some rounds securely. You know, let's do that. Let me get something round. Here's a piece of 3/4. We'll just stick a piece of 3/4 in it, and let's say we wanted to. All right, we just got finished cutting it. Okay, we just cut it off, and now we want to work on the inside or something a little bit. So let's take this guy, and now we're just going to flip it up like this, and now I'm going to work on the end. So kind of cool, right? Anyways, Wilton, never seen one like it. Had to have it. Shop brushes. Can't ever have too many of them. Particle mask made by 3M. Literally 200 masks. That would be 6 boxes. So yeah, got plenty of masks. Chemical gloves. Made by Stanzoil, neoprene and acid resistant, large, made in USA, 20 pairs. Leather gloves, just raw work gloves, made in USA, probably 20 pairs. The little heavier leather gloves, good for using chop saw, grinder, things like that. So again, 20 pairs. The guy right in front of me cleaned them out on these shop towels. These are Kimberly Clark, called Workhorse Hydro Knit manufactured rags. And all he left was 2 packs, and I took everything they had. The guy in front of me was pulling these out by the case. I would have loved to have these. US made soft frame goggles. Now these are required on some job sites if you're doing grinding, chop saw work and things like that. You're required to wear safety glasses and goggles, both. So these are a US made goggle, 20 pairs, all brand new in the box. So I'm pretty set for some of my PPE out on my job site. Pretty happy with those. Big carabiners. Those are good for hanging extension cords, hoses, things like that. Hanging them up in the trailer. You know, that'll hold a 25-foot extension cord or hose, and just good for keeping your cords neat. And here's a couple nut and bolt gauges. That one's all SAE there. Yep, that's all Imperial. This one looks like it's metric and Imperial both. Always nice to have those around. Here's an Ace tap and die extractors and tools. Drill gauge. Millimeters around the middle. Imperials around the outside. Okay, so that was fun. Here's one I've never seen, and one of you Starrett collectors might be interested in this. Someone punched a hole right through Starrett, so that, you know, that to me that kind of ruined it. On the back, it's got screw threads and tap drill sizes, National Coarse and National Fine charts on the back. But it's a dial. At the bottom, you would see. The size of the tap is 1 inch, 1 inch 8 threads per inch, and the size of the tap drill is 7/8. So that's going to have your tap drill sizes on it. Out here in the center, on the outside, it's decimal equivalents. So you go, just for giggles, we're going to go 11/64. That's 0.17188 for the decimal equivalent. So it's kind of a cool little dial chart. So, you know, if any of you Starrett collectors out there would like that, you know, I'll send it to you. If I know James Green collects Starrett stuff. I know Adam collects Starrett stuff. So if you guys are kind of into that, shoot me a PM and say, hey Stan, I kind of dig that chart. So it doesn't mean much to me. It's just a cool little chart, and I found it in the bottom of a drawer and I grabbed it. But yeah, kind of fun. So this crazy thing followed me home today too. That's an old Montgomery Ward radial arm saw. And I thought, well, you know what? I can cut Delrin with it. And there you can see I woodchucked with it. I don't know where I'm going to put it. Somebody has any interest in this and then lives in the SoCal area, I'd be happy to sell it. Runs good. It's pretty darn versatile. I'm not going to go through all the motions with it, but it does everything it's supposed to do. It has kind of an interesting feature here. These little caps come off, and you've got two power takeoffs here. This one's 20,000 RPM, and this one's 3450 RPM, and there's spindles that pop on here. And this head, you take the saw blade off, and this head swivels down, and there's a collet set up where you could do routing with the high-speed one. With this one, you can there's a mandrel for a very large drum sander, so you can have a drum sander facing straight down for doing maybe some shaping. So that was kind of an interesting feature. I don't know if they're all radial arm saws have that, but I thought that was kind of neat. That's all pretty new to me, but everything operates smoothly. I mean, it's a pretty good saw, and it runs quietly. It's got a nice cabinet down here at the bottom. There's tons of woodchucking stuff in there. Dado blades and router bits and sanding stuff and a bunch of woodchuck stuff that I don't even know what it is. Well, I know what those are. Those are saw blades. And there's some other things. There's a dado cut set up and a bunch of other blades over there. And it's got the close-up cabinet, complete with sawdust. So, yeah, Monkey Wards. Remember them? Good old Powercraft. But that followed me home from that estate sale today. as did a drill press, but by the time I got it home, I already had it sold. It was just a Chicom. Actually, it was a Taiwanese special, so don't get your panties in a bunch. But yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with this yet. If one of you woodchucks out of there has any interest in this thing, it might make a cool addition to your shop. But and I've got all that. It's got all the paperwork. I got all the documentation on it. This guy was so anal about keeping his stuff together. But this is that's one of the things that followed me home. And there's quite a bit of PPE down there: goggles, masks, shop towels, gloves. That's good for. That's going straight into the work trailer. My guys chew through that stuff at an incredible rate. Dumb stuff. Got a shop vac hose, brand new in the box. Just crazy amounts of stuff. Anyways, all right. Just thought I'd show you that. Thanks for watching, guys.